Welcome, gents. A man who understands himself deeply will never be satisfied by a shallow connection. This is the mindset of a Sigma male. He's not just different, he's built from another mold entirely. He sees the world through quiet eyes, and while others chase noise, approval, and performance, he leans into depth, solitude, and self-respect. That's why he doesn't move like most men. He doesn't date for the sake of having someone. He doesn't entertain relationships that drain his peace. And most of all, he avoids what modern dating has become, a marketplace of personas instead of people. The modern woman he often comes across feels disconnected from what he's looking for. It's not about beauty or ambition or independence. It's about the energy behind it all. He's met women who talk a lot about freedom but are imprisoned by trends. He's met women who seem powerful online but collapse when the camera's off. He's not judging, he just doesn't connect with a performance. He wants something real. And if you are someone who values your mind over the noise, who respects your own silence, and who doesn't bend just to be liked, then understand this. You are not the one he avoids. You are exactly what he recognizes. Maybe you've been misunderstood too. Maybe your strength made others feel small. But to a Sigma male, your depth would be seen. So don't water yourself down, because real will always find real, and the rare never need to shout. They are felt in the stillness. Let's begin, gents. Number one, they don't confuse boldness with depth. There's a huge difference between being loud and being deep. But in today's world, the two are often mixed up. You see someone speaking boldly, taking up space, being blunt or challenging norms, and it's automatically labeled as powerful. But Sigma males don't buy that so easily. They've seen too much and felt too deeply to fall for surface-level strength. To them, boldness without inner reflection is just noise dressed up as confidence. A lot of what's celebrated today as real is actually rehearsed. The sass, the strong opinions, the endless declarations of self-love, they might sound impressive on the outside, but when you really sit down and listen, there's no emotional weight behind the words. It's like someone reading lines from a script they didn't write. And that's where Sigma males draw the line. They're not moved by volume, they're moved by substance. A Sigma male is someone who has sat with himself in silence long enough to know the difference between expression and exhibition. He knows what it means to build quiet strength without needing a stage. So when he hears someone speak just to be heard or sees someone perform independence like it's a show, it doesn't connect. It actually creates distance. He is drawn to women who think deeply, not just speak loudly. Women who face their own shadows, who don't need to announce their worth because they live it quietly in how they move and treat others. He respects those who know themselves beneath the surface, not those who decorate the outside and ignore what's going on inside. So if you're a woman who leads with thought before opinion, who questions herself before pointing fingers, who doesn't need to constantly prove her strength because she's already built it from the inside out, know this. You're not overlooked, you're just not easily found. And that's exactly why the right kind of man sees you. Number two, they won't entertain the upgrade culture. Sigma. Males have a quiet way of watching everything without needing to react. And one thing they've noticed is this strange pattern in modern dating where people don't fully commit. There's always this subtle backup plan, always someone else waiting in the wings, always a sense that the person you're with is just a placeholder until something better comes along. This mindset is what Sigma males call upgrade culture, and they want absolutely nothing to do with it. For a Sigma male, loyalty is not something you test or revisit when things get tough. It's a decision. It's earned, it's respected, and once it's given, it's all in. That's why they don't invest in people who are half present. If someone is constantly comparing, weighing options, or mentally browsing for their next romantic opportunity, a Sigma male checks out. He's not going to audition for someone's attention. He's not interested in being someone's for now. He's the kind of man who wants presence, someone who stays when things aren't exciting, someone who chooses him, even when no one is watching, someone who sees the value in what they already have instead of always searching for more. Upgrade culture to him feels like emotional gambling. It's built on fear of missing out and never truly being content. And here's what makes him different. He's not afraid to walk alone if loyalty is the price. He doesn't play games to hold on to someone. He lets go, because to him, real connection has no plan B. If you're always looking over his shoulder to see who else is coming, you've already left. Sigma males would rather be alone in peace than committed in doubt. If you're someone who knows how to stay, how to choose fully, and how to love without comparison, then you're not just rare, you're unforgettable to a Sigma. Number 3, they view excessive self-branding as an identity crisis. Sigma males see right through the performance. While most people are busy crafting a version of themselves to impress, attract, or trend, the Sigma male is quietly observing and asking one question: who are you when no one's looking? That's why self-branding doesn't impress him. It actually pushes him away. In today's world, identity has become a product. People package themselves like a brand, choosing what parts of their personality to highlight, filtering out the rest, and calling it authenticity. But to a Sigma male, that isn't authenticity. It's a carefully polished mask. When someone's entire sense of self is tied to aesthetics, captions, and maintaining an image, it signals to him that there's probably not much grounding underneath. It's not that he judges ambition or expression, it's that he values truth. And when he sees someone so wrapped up in being liked, followed, or admired, he wonders if they even know who they are without the attention. What he craves is something most people overlook: raw identity. Not the scripted version, not the highlight reel, just the real, flawed, evolving, grounded self. He doesn't care how many people like your photos. He's watching how you think, how you treat silence, how you handle discomfort. He's listening for something deeper than rehearsed quotes and buzzwords. He's looking for substance beneath the polish. To him, a woman who knows herself doesn't need a brand. She lives her truth, whether or not it's trendy. She doesn't measure her worth through validation or visibility. She is whole before the world sees her. And that kind of presence, quiet, honest, unshakable, is what captures a Sigma male's attention. Not the girl with the perfect profile, but the one who's brave enough to exist without one. Number 4, they refuse to be a character in someone else's narrative. A Sigma male lives life on his own terms, not inside someone else's storyline. He's not here to be anyone's fantasy, support system, or emotional trophy. So when he senses that someone is trying to cast him into a role, whether it's the protector, the provider, or the guy who makes everything look perfect from the outside, he quietly steps back, not out of fear, but out of principle. He simply refuses to become a character in a script he didn't write. A lot of people enter relationships with a story already in mind. They're not really looking at the person in front of them. They're looking for someone to fit a role. And when that person doesn't follow the script, when they don't say the right lines or play along with the image, things fall apart. Sigma males see this coming from a mile away. They know when they're not being seen for who they really are, but only for how useful they appear. He's not interested in living out someone else's fairy tale, especially if it requires him to shrink himself, fake emotions, or ignore his own needs just to keep the illusion alive. Sigma males value authenticity above comfort. They won't pretend to be the emotional caretaker, the financial ladder, or the calm to someone else's chaos just to feel wanted. They are not opposed to love, they're just not interested in love that demands they become someone else. Real connection for a Sigma is about being chosen for who they are: flaws, complexity, stillness, independence, not for how well they fill a role in someone's personal story. So if you want a Sigma male, don't come with a script. Come with self-awareness. Come ready to build something new together, not act out something already written, because he's not a fantasy, he's real. And that's worth far more than any storyline. Number 5, they don't fall for empowerment. Theta Sigma males are the kind of men who've gone to war with themselves. They've broken, rebuilt, and earned their confidence in silence. So when someone shows up shouting about how strong and independent they are, they don't lean in, they pause. Not because they don't respect real strength, but because they've learned that a lot of what's sold as empowerment today is just a performance. It sounds powerful on the surface, but when you scratch past the words, there's often no foundation underneath. They've seen the recycled quotes, the captions that read like battle cries, the declarations of worth that repeat like a script. And they're not moved. Because true power isn't loud. It doesn't need applause or reminders. Real empowerment is quiet. It's how someone speaks to themselves after a failure. It's how they behave when there's no one to impress. Sigma males don't care what you post when you're feeling on top of the world. They're watching how you think when your world falls apart. They know the difference between lived wisdom and borrowed words. That's why they're not drawn to people who need to constantly announce their strength. They're drawn to those who've lived through hard things, made peace with themselves, and don't need to talk about it every 5 minutes. It's not about being unimpressed. It's about being tuned into something deeper. When a woman leads with humility instead of performance, when she speaks from experience instead of echoing what's popular, when her power doesn't come with an audience, that's when a Sigma listens. Not because she's trying to be seen, but because she's finally seeing herself. That kind of quiet confidence, that's not theater, that's truth. And Sigma men always know the difference. Number 6, they are allergic to emotional extortion. Sigma males don't respond well to guilt trips. In fact, they shut down the moment someone tries to use emotion as a bargaining chip. They've dealt with enough manipulation in life to recognize it the second it shows up wearing a soft voice or a tear-streaked face. The line, "If you loved me, you would," is all it takes for them to mentally check out. Not because they lack empathy, but because they refuse to be controlled. Modern dating, more often than not, comes with emotional landmines. You're not just building a connection, you're tiptoeing around someone's unspoken expectations and navigating their triggers like it's a game. The problem? Sigma males don't play emotional games. If they care about someone, they'll show it in quiet, real ways. But the moment they feel pressure to prove their love through guilt, obligation, or emotional blackmail, they're gone. To a Sigma, love is not a transaction. It's not "do this for me or else I'll question your loyalty." That kind of behavior isn't romantic to them. It's manipulation, plain and simple. Sigma males are driven by truth, not guilt. They'll give you their loyalty, attention, and care, but only if it's freely accepted, not squeezed out of them through emotional threats. They're the kind of men who would rather be misunderstood for walking away than stay in a relationship where their emotions are being used against them. They value peace over performance, clarity over confusion, and they know that any love that relies on guilt to survive isn't really love at all. So if you're the kind of woman who communicates directly, respects emotional boundaries, and doesn't try to win arguments with tears or silence, know this, you're rare. And Sigma men notice, because honesty to them is the highest form of intimacy. Number 7, they see through trauma as identity personas. Sigma males respect pain, but they respect growth even more. They've had their own battles, sat in silence with their scars, and rebuilt themselves from the ground up. So when someone walks in wearing their trauma like a badge or using it to control conversations, a Sigma doesn't lean in with sympathy. He steps back with clarity. Modern culture has made it almost fashionable to wear emotional wounds out in the open, but not for healing, for attention. It's become normal to lead with pain, to shape identity around what hurt you, and to use that pain as an excuse to never grow. Some even turn their struggles into a personality, constantly referencing what broke them, not to move on, but to stay relevant, to stay the center of emotional gravity. Sigma males see straight through it. To them, pain is sacred, but only when it's used as fuel. They believe suffering should make you wiser, not louder. It should humble you, not turn into your identity. A Sigma male is not impressed by someone who constantly brings up how others failed them. He's watching what they've done with the pain. Did they grow? Did they change? Did they take responsibility for their healing? He doesn't pity people who stay stuck. He understands trauma, but he doesn't tolerate victimhood that becomes performative. If every conversation loops back to how broken someone is, he starts to feel like he's not talking to a person anymore. He's talking to a narrative that refuses to evolve. What attracts a Sigma is quiet resilience, the kind that doesn't announce itself but lives in your actions. The kind that says, yes, I was broken, but I rebuilt myself with my own hands. That's power to a Sigma. Not pain that becomes your whole identity, but strength that outgrows it. Number 8, they know how weaponized femininity works. Sigma males have seen what lies beneath the surface. They've been through enough emotional warfare to know that not every gentle smile is sincere, and not every soft tone comes from a kind place. They've learned the hard way that femininity in the wrong hands can be used as a weapon, subtle, strategic, and designed to control. And now, they don't fall for it. Weaponized femininity isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It comes cloaked in sweetness, in charm, in just enough vulnerability to lower your guard. It's not about love or connection, it's about getting a reaction, a response, a result. Sigma males have felt the shift before, the way a compliment can suddenly turn into guilt, or how affection gets withheld when things don't go someone's way. It's manipulation, wrapped in silk. But here's the thing, Sigma men don't operate on impulse. They observe before they act. They listen when others would speak. And over time, they've developed a radar for emotional bait. If someone is using their femininity to dodge accountability, play the victim, or disguise control as softness, the Sigma picks it up instantly and walks away without warning. What he respects isn't performative gentleness. It's inner calm that doesn't need to manipulate. It's softness that isn't conditional. He values women who are emotionally honest, not emotionally tactical, who don't flirt with control or use tears as a tool, who know their strength and don't need to weaponize their sensitivity to get what they want. The Sigma male doesn't hate femininity. He honors it, but only when it's rooted in truth, not strategy. So when a woman shows up with depth, not drama, with clarity, not games, she doesn't have to convince him of anything. He sees her. He trusts her. Because she's not using softness to win, she's using presence to connect. And that's the kind of woman who disarms him without ever needing to try. Number 9, they see hypersexualization as a red flag, not freedom. Sigma males view things differently because they live differently. They're not drawn to trends or cultural buzzwords. They're drawn to energy, depth, and intention. So when they see hypersexualized behavior being flaunted as freedom, they pause. Not out of judgment, but out of awareness. Because to a Sigma, there's a difference between owning your body and using it to mask what's missing inside. In a world where everything is becoming louder, more exposed, more curated for likes and attention, the Sigma male quietly steps back and observes. He doesn't see raw confidence when someone constantly advertises their sexuality. What he sees is often something deeper and darker. Maybe it's a desperate need to be seen. Maybe it's pain being disguised as power. Maybe it's unresolved identity dressed up as liberation. But one thing is always clear to him, there's usually more going on beneath the surface. The Sigma doesn't confuse sexual energy with emotional substance. He's not impressed by how boldly someone can show skin. He's watching how carefully they guard their soul. If sexuality is the loudest part of a woman's presence, he starts to question what's been buried under all that noise. What's missing that needs constant exposure to feel real? To a Sigma, connection is sacred, not transactional, not fast food for the ego. He doesn't seek someone he can consume, he seeks someone he can build with. He's after the kind of bond that makes silence feel safe and intimacy feel earned. So when he sees someone whose self-worth is tied tightly to performance and visual appeal, it doesn't excite him, it saddens him, because it tells him they've mistaken visibility for value. Real freedom in his eyes is quiet. It's the kind that doesn't scream, it just is. And the woman who embodies that kind of freedom, the one who doesn't need to expose herself to feel alive, that's the one who captures the Sigma's attention. Not because she shows everything, but because she doesn't have to. Number 10, they know many don't actually like men, just the benefits of them. Sigma males are observant to a fault. They notice the things most people overlook. One of the most bitter truths they've come to accept is this. A lot of people don't actually like men, they just like what men can provide: protection, money, status, attention, convenience. And when those things are no longer available, the so-called love disappears fast. This realization doesn't come from bitterness, it comes from experience. Sigma males have been in situations where they were praised not for who they were, but for what they could do. They've watched people talk about equality and partnership only to turn around and demand treatment that benefits them exclusively. They've seen admiration turn cold the moment they set boundaries or stopped being useful, and that's when it hits them. Some folks don't love men. They love male utility. That's why Sigma males don't chase approval or bend over backward to be liked. They know their value, and more importantly, they're watching to see if you know it too. Do you care about the person behind the effort? Or are you just comfortable taking without giving? Do you listen when he's speaking from his soul? Or are you just waiting for him to open his wallet, fix a problem, or stroke your ego? This is where most people fail with Sigmas. They mistake them for tools, not people. They try to tap into their usefulness without ever bothering to connect with their humanity. But a Sigma male sees that trick a mile away, and he'll disappear before you even realize what went wrong. If you want to truly connect with a Sigma, don't flatter his accomplishments. See his spirit, don't cling to what he gives. Appreciate who he is without it. That kind of respect, it's rare, and it's the only currency he accepts. Number 11. They're bored by the predictability of modern dating scripts. Sigma males aren't trying to be different. They are different. And one of the fastest ways to lose their interest is to feed them the same lifeless dating material they've already seen 100 times. You know the drill. A bio packed with sarcastic one-liners, jokes about red flags like they're quirky. If you can't handle me at my worst, followed by a trauma dump disguised as vulnerability. It's all too polished, too rehearsed, too hollow. To most people, this is just normal now. Swipe culture has turned dating into performance art. People don't show who they are. They show who they think will get a reaction. Everyone's trying to sound clever, damaged in just the right way, and emotionally unavailable, but still vaguely lovable. But a Sigma male doesn't care for that, not even a little. He doesn't want a persona, he wants a pulse. See, Sigma males spend most of their time outside the social herd. That gives them an edge most don't have: clarity. They've learned to see beneath surface-level behavior. They don't just hear what someone says, they read the space between the words. So when a woman is clearly reading from the same script as everyone else, he checks out. Not because he's arrogant, but because he's allergic to copy-paste energy. What he's drawn to is realness, a calm truth, a sense of self that doesn't come from memes or dating trends. He wants someone who isn't trying to be impressive but is already whole, someone who can talk without trying to sell themselves or sound clever. And in a world where most connections feel like marketing pitches, that kind of grounded presence feels like gold. Sigma males don't chase chaos. They don't want drama. They want someone who's not acting. And when they finally meet a woman who isn't performing, who doesn't need to compete or overcompensate, they don't just notice, they stay. In final words, some people chase attention, others attract it by staying rooted. The difference is depth. Sigma males don't avoid modern women because they're cold or bitter. They avoid the noise because they've developed a level of self-awareness that makes superficial connection feel suffocating. They've grown tired of the emotional performance, the trend-driven personalities, and the games that lead nowhere. They aren't looking for chaos disguised as chemistry. They're looking for something quieter, realer, something that doesn't need to shout to be strong. What they want is depth, a mind that isn't glued to what's trending, a presence that doesn't need a spotlight to feel worthy. They're not interested in quick sparks that burn out. They're drawn to the slow burn of substance. This doesn't mean all modern women are shallow, but it does mean the ones who are still building themselves on likes, trends, and temporary thrills will miss the mark. Sigma males are rare because they've chosen peace over popularity, and they naturally align with women who've made the same choice. If you're a woman who values silence over spectacle, truth over performance, and growth over drama, you don't need to change for anyone. You're already what these men quietly look for but rarely find. Stay grounded. Keep your energy clean. Don't dilute your essence to match a noisy world. The Sigma male doesn't need you to impress him. He needs you to be fully, honestly, and without apology, because in the end, real always recognizes real. And when the surface fades, the ones who've done the inner work will be the ones still standing, not looking to be chosen, but choosing with clarity. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.